We have week 1 line moves. The spreads came out months ago, but now there's, real information trickling in and the lines are starting to change. And I think it's getting very interesting in a couple of places. For example, Baylor Auburn. Now a pick'em or Baylor slightly favored, depending on where you look. How are you feeling about that?
I was just reminiscing in my head right now that we're 3 weeks away from our pick show. We're there. Yeah, this is to me one of the more intriguing matchups of the entire first week, because I feel like Baylor is a team, at least in the Big 12 sphere, that people think has a chance to win that conference. And Auburn obviously is heading into an important season. And I think that from a athlete standpoint, Andy, you're pretty high on on Auburn, but Baylor.
I'm high on both of them from an athlete standpoint. So the Shrine Bowl 1000 got released today, and Baylor's got a lot of guys that are potential NFL guys. So they've got 17 guys on the Shrine Bowl 1000. That doesn't mean you're going to get drafted, because obviously there's only 272 draft picks, but that's a good indication that they're more talented than they have been.
Really high on Auburn's NFL top tier talent in the pen.
Oh yeah, Auburn at the top end is really, really good. Keldrick Falk is right up there. Xavier Chaplin, the offensive tackle they got from Virginia Tech, and then of course Cam Coleman doesn't even count in that because he's only a sophomore.
So the thing that I think we're going to find here is top end talent going to come together at Auburn, or is being a functional team with a quarterback advantage, at least that we understand right now, enough to win at home on Friday night. That's because Auburn.
And it's really,
players, but they've kind of been all over.
If Jackson Arnold is significantly better than what we saw at Oklahoma, then I don't know that the Sawyer Robertson quarterback advantage is that big. So Sawyer Robertson is one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12 and really lit it up in the second half of last season. Because remember, they went into the last season thinking Daquan Finn was going to be the starter, the Toledo transfer. Robertson takes the job. It was Jake Spavital's first year as the OC. The offense really came together. They won their last 6 regular season games. So this is a great matchup here, because it is Baylor, which figured out what it was, got functional, and should be one of the better teams in the Big 12, against Auburn, which we don't know what it'll be yet, but we think if everything comes together, they could beat anybody.
Right. So I think this game in particular is kind of which side of the aisle are you leaning? Are you leaning on Auburn's going to figure it out and Jackson Arnold's really good? Or is Auburn going to be semi-dysfunctional offensively still, and Baylor is going to continue to ride the wave of the hot second half of the season that they had last year? What side? I know we're not supposed to be picking yet, but where are you leaning?
I'm leaning Auburn, but it's crazy because this is about as close to a pick'em as you can get. BetMGM has Baylor favored by 1, but if you go to the money line, it's Auburn minus 105, Baylor minus 115.
Yeah, it is
barely any difference.
Yeah. You have the road, aspect of this. I know Baylor fans are fired up, but if Auburn goes in and loses this game, Hughes in bubbling hot water, right? I don't know about hot seat, but hot water. I don't know which one.
They would have to. They would have to, of course, beat Illinois State and South Alabama, but then you got to go beat Oklahoma after that. That's because then if you're 2-2 going into at Texas A&M, that's a terrible place to be, because you're at Texas A&M, then you play Georgia. It doesn't really get any easier. So I think
it's important
to get that figured out.
And I don't know. I'm sorry if I missed you saying this. I have this tendency to not hear things sometimes, and I don't know why. Both in text and in but it's important to talk about where the line started, which was Baylor was a 2.5-point dog at one point at some places, right?
Yes.
So this isn't just because a lot of the moves that we're seeing are a point or a half a point and not crossing over key numbers. This is a pretty substantial move.
Yeah. And I don't know State, by the way, not Illinois State for Auburn. I'm getting my Cardinals confused.
Yeah.
So
and I didn't notice that you were wrong when you said that because obviously I'm not a very good logos guy, but that does look like Ball State, by the way. Like
it is Ball State. It's a very aggressive italicized cardinal. I apologize to everyone in Muncie.
Did Ball State change its logo recently?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah. So this is not the only interesting move, by the way. We've got a couple more. We've got, let's see, Miami's come back toward Notre Dame a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a fun one. I believe we're going to be at this game. So Miami is now a 2.5-point dog at home. They were a 3-point dog at home. So that one moving a little bit. Miami is fascinating to me because we don't know what they're going to be. We suspect their defense will be better. We suspect their offense will be not as electrifying as it was, but still pretty good. But this is the test right out of the gate, and you kind of know what Notre Dame's going to be.
Yeah, and semi-aggressive move here because you're coming off of a key number from 3 to 2.5. You don't really have that cute little push field goal safety blanket anymore. And like Notre Dame, we do know what they are. I think Notre Dame is going to be very good, and you understand and accept that notion despite the fact they're making a quarterback switch. I think Miami is far more of a question mark in terms of, are they going to be an ACC contender and potential outside playoff pusher, or are they going to be an 8-4 team that's solid but not nearly as good as they were last year? And I think that Miami fans, I've picked up on, Andy, are pretty excited and amped up for this year and feel like they have a real chance to do something. And I don't know if I'm there yet. Like I think like if I had to pick this game right now, I would pick Notre Dame winning it and winning it comfortably. And when I say comfortably, like 7 to 10 points, like not around the spread. What do you think? Like, where are you on this one?
Miami's really talented, like individual players talented, but we need to see it all together because they took a lot out of the transfer portal. They had to fix the defense. The defense was obviously the glaring liability last season. So they bring in Corey Heatherman from Minnesota to run it, but also brought in all of these guys to basically revamp their secondary. Their D-line, pretty much homegrown. I mean, Akeem Messidor came from West Virginia like 4 years ago, but in the back end, it's completely revamped. So that's the thing. We just don't know what that defense is going to look like. And Notre Dame, it'll be interesting because we know Notre Dame's offensive line is going to be good. We think they're going to be able to run the ball, but this is a good Miami D line. Like, I think they're going to force CJ Carr to throw him, to throw a little bit to beat him. So
yeah, the one thing that you can say about this game is that Notre Dame made a lot of hay last year pushing people around up front, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that.
It's just not that easy when it's Ruben Bain and and Messidor and
both sides of the line of scrimmage, not just offense.
Oh yeah, and Miami's offensive line is really good too. That's the other part. I'm not as worried about Carson Beck in terms of will he be protected? He's going to be protected. Miami should be able to run the ball too. So then Miami's younger receivers, the guys that got out of the portal like Keelan Marion, like how do they do? That's the big question. So really it's Notre Dame's passing game, which is an unknown. We think they're going to be better because CJ Carr probably has a better arm than Riley Leonard. We saw Jaden Greathouse really show up there at the end of the playoff. We think Jaden Ball will be good because he's healthy. They've got transfers from Virginia and Wisconsin that they like. So that's the thing, is which of these passing offenses will shine and which of these defenses will give.
Yeah, and I also feel like too, like whoever wins this football game, like if Miami somehow finds a way to win this one at home, which in a less than a field goal spread, like I think that might change and shift the way that we're viewing them this year. And I always make the case that people have a hard time letting go of what happened the year before in the negative, and sometimes I think that that's also true in the positive, and that like Notre Dame is a finished, polished product that's going to go make a deep run this year. I obviously anticipate that they'll be very good, but I don't know that it's a guaranteed win by any stretch of the imagination here. And if Carson Beck comes out and is healthy and plays well, they run the ball well, they've got good lines of scrimmage and some pretty good dynamic playmakers at receiver and in the backfield of the secondary. Like they have to fix what went wrong back there, but they went out and they replaced a lot of guys in the back end of their defense. Like Miami is a pretty interesting question mark.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this game. Another one that I'm very excited. This is probably the one I think if you ask most people, this is the one they're most excited about in week one, and that is LSU Clemson. You talk about moving off a key number. This one opened at Clemson favored by 3. Clemson now favored by 3.5. So that's another move off a key number.
Oh, it got bigger for Clemson.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't know really what happened other than some instincts to cause that. There's been no news out of Clemson or LSU that has really caused me to think any differently about this game.
Yeah. I think sometimes too, it's just like the infusion of money. We're getting closer to the season. People are, but I feel like the real line movements that are going to tell us something are going to happen the week of the game, because that's when they tend to happen. I think I put both of these teams in my playoff.
Mm-hmm.
I anticipate that LSU is going to be very good. Like I'm starting to come around, if I haven't gotten there already, to the idea that this year's Clemson team is going to feel like old Clemson teams. Like, are you there with me?
I think they are, but this game's going to tell us a lot, because the last time we saw Clemson's defense, it was getting shredded by Texas in the first round of the playoff, and it was just not a good defense last year. And there's a reason that Dabo Swinney fired Wes Goodwin and brought in Tom Allen. I think bringing in Tom Allen is going to be maybe the most important offseason move anybody made, because Clemson didn't really need to improve its personnel. It needed to improve its scheme. Now, I think it did improve its personnel by going out and getting Will Help from Purdue, which puts somebody on the other side of TJ Parker that scares you, allows you to move Peter Wood or keep Peter Woods inside. Now, he played inside some last year, but he also had to play outside some last year. He doesn't need to be playing on the edge. He needs to be interior. So that's a scary defensive line.
LSU's number one knock on their offense last year was that they abandoned the run in critical moments and put too much on Garrett Nussmeier, correct? Yes. Now they're opening the season against the best defensive line in college football. All 4 people on that line.
With a revamped offensive line. That doesn't mean it's going to be a bad offensive line. It just means, hey, they lost Will Campbell, who was a first-round tackle, Emory Jones, Garrett Dellinger. So they lost some guys that are really experienced. So
they're going to have a test right out of the gate, too, of are they going to be able to win football games in a different way this year? So that's the thing that kind of scares me the most about this LSU matchup, is that, you want to do something different. You want to be able to run the ball more efficiently, and you want to do it on your own terms. And you're going to probably go against the toughest team in the ACC and maybe one of the 5 toughest teams in the country to run the ball on right out of the gate. So, you want to see LSU show that it made strides and improvements in the running game, while also, giving Garrett Nussmeier a little bit of a break, because they did put too much on him.
Yeah, I don't want this to turn into the Florida game for them, because that was a case where Florida's D-line was whipping LSU's O-line up front, and because they wouldn't run the ball, it put Nussmeier in a pretty tough situation. And it was I think that was the most sacks they gave up all season. I think they gave 6 sacks. But if you go back to the Texas A&M game, Texas A&M also had a very good defensive line, very good pass rush. And while they didn't always get home, they scared Nussmeier into some very bad throws that turned into interceptions. So that's you got to protect Nussmeier, and one way to protect him is by running the ball a little bit. So we'll see if they.
How much do they have to take off of his plate percentage wise? You think 20%?
I don't think it has to be like, you don't have to become a 60% run team. You can still be a 55% throw team and be fine with a dude like that. But you got to be able to run the ball a little bit. You have to force the defense, to be honest, because you can't just have, like, when at the end of that Florida game, Florida did not even think they were going to run. There was no thought of it at all. They're sending guys, and that's not going to work. Like, you have got to scare them a little bit in the run game.
Yeah,
You've got to have them guys, you got to have them move some people down in the box, because like with Florida, they could set up their linebackers in their secondary in a way that like they know they're dropping back, like they're not having to fit the run. It makes it easier.
I don't think it's a percentage thing. I think that was a stupid question on my part. I think it's, can you run the ball on 4th and 1 and be successful at it? Like there are times last year where LSU, had running situations and, they threw in situations where if you were a good running team, you might have been able to, pick up the first down on the ground. And it's like the ability to do it when you need to is more important than doing it to a certain amount of times.
And if LSU can do that against Clemson, guess what? LSU is a playoff team. Like,
and if they can
they're going to make the playoff.
Yeah, if they can, and they're going to be tested right out of the gate. A lot of times too, when you're trying to find yourself and do something different, you like to have a few games to ease into trying it and to come out there with maybe the most physical test you could possibly face outside of your conference, and maybe even inside your conference right out of the gate is always a strong test. And it's on the road too. Do you want to get into which is the real Death Valley conversation, or do you want to save that for their?
Well, why don't we just let them decide it over the next 2 years? Like if somebody sweeps the home and home, I think they probably get to claim it.
Death Valley is a really great name. It's a shame there's 2 of them. I don't know. I've never seen a game at either of these stadiums. Hopefully that changes at some point. But this is a really exciting matchup, and one that's being unnecessarily overshadowed by Ohio State, Texas.
Yeah, I don't know if this is being overshadowed. See, the beauty of this, because I think we think about this as like people who go to games and cover them, and if you pick one, you can't go to the other.
Yeah, that's true. You get to watch
both. People are home watching this on TV. They're going to watch both because one's at noon and one's at 7:30.
Yeah, I put this number 1 on my most excited to watch list on the offseason, or the best non-conference game, and people went insane.
I think it's true just because I actually agree with you, because here's the thing with Texas and Ohio State, like no matter what happens, neither fan base is jumping off a cliff. They're like, all right, we're good. It'll all get figured out.
And I think that we're both accepting the fact that they're both of those teams is going to be in the hunt, if not a shoe-in to make the playoff, no matter who wins. I feel like we're going to learn something about 2 teams that we think conceivably could make a run. And the
LSU losing streak in season openers, which predates Brian Kelly, by the way, I think that adds so much spice to LSU Clemson, because they're either going to break this thing, which is a huge cause for celebration at LSU, and it says, oh, LSU's for real, or they're going to lose a 6th season opener in a row, and it's going to be like, what the hell?
Has a team or program that's as accomplished as LSU ever lost 6 openers in a row in the history of football?
I don't think so, but the thing is, like, the part of this is LSU could just schedule an easy game here and break the streak. Like that. This is them challenging themselves.
Yeah, challenge yourself out of the gate. I don't know that all of the losses were major challenges, but most of them were.
Yeah, the UCLA one, I don't know that was particularly great UCLA team, but yeah, it's crazy. I just, at some point you got to win one of these. But this may be the hardest one of the bunch. Maybe the Florida State team that ended up going 13-0.
I think if we get a high quality football game, and it's 34-31 or something, and both teams look good, and it just like has that feeling of a high powered game, that I think the fan bases will probably be rational here. Like, I don't know if like this will be, maybe I'm giving them too much credit,
but the fan bases will not be rational, especially LSU.
I don't know. Like, I think that like playing a highly contested game and losing close to another playoff team and for opener, will probably cause some freakouts in the first week, but I think that it would be a good sign for both of these teams to play a highly competitive game that's decided in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, if a team loses this one close, I'm not.
Yeah, it's not like, oh my God, like
I'm not saying their season's over. Let's put it that way.
Their seasons are not going to be over. But this is a huge test. For if one gets blown out, though, oh boy, Katie barred the door.